Hello there, good to have you join us for the Reporters Roundtable, where we discuss issues from all angles and from all sides and from the perspective of the journalists. Today on the Roundtable, we join the global effort to minimize the incidence of fraud by promoting anti-fraud awareness through education of the public, the telltale signs of fraudulent activities, how to detect them, and many more. Get hooked onto the conversation by sending in your WhatsApp or your SMS on 0244 74 5152. 0244 74 5152. In studio are my friends, as I call them always, you know, and I have here Arba Kumsin. Arba Kumsin is an award-winning presenter and an editor at Joy News. Arba, welcome.
Good to be here, Rebecca.
Thank you for coming. Also with her is Adib Sani. Adib Sani is a journalist and a security analyst, and also the CEO of Jatike Center for Human Security and Peace Building. Adib.
Rebecca.
Long time.
It has really been. Happy you dogged me.
Oh, not at all.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. My name is
yeah. Good to see you too.
Good to see all of you. And my name is Rebecca Ewa, and you can join the conversation because your messages and your views make the circle complete, and we value it very much. So remember to send in those messages on 0244 74 5152. It will be displayed broadly on your screens. Please do not call the line, just send in your WhatsApp or a text message. Thank you for staying on, and remember to send in your messages on 0244 74 5152. We're looking at anti-fraud awareness and education, and we'll start off from the expert point of view. Adib, what do we mean when we talk about fraud?
Well, it's basically the use of deception aimed at gaining something personally. And I was going through a number of definitions, and one very important one is by James Chen, and this year he defined fraud as an intentionally deceptive action designed to provide the perpetrator with an unlawful gain or to deny a right to a victim. And he went on to say that tax fraud, credit card fraud, wire fraud, securities fraud, and bankruptcy fraud are all the various types of frauds, and we have more to it. So if you misrepresent the facts, whether by intentionally withholding important information or providing false statements to another party for the specific purpose of gaining something that may not have been provided without the deception. So if you misrepresent financial data about even the state to any party, it's fraud. So this is just the basic definition.
But do fraudsters have a peculiar look? How do they look like? When you see a fraudster, can you recognize one?
Absolutely not. It's difficult to tell. For example, a gentleman wanted to supply, I understand, jute bags, and he was connected with another gentleman who, as a matter of fact, was driving a Rolls Royce, very responsible looking. He had an office space with workers. I mean, nothing showed he's a fraudster. Only for that friend of mine to realize he's been duped of about 400,000 Ghana cedis. A similar case is even before the police, and I realized your outfit even published it about a Ukrainian national who was sending monies to a rich, well-to-do, responsible-looking Nigerian man based in Ghana to buy thick wood for him. So he would send the monies, then tomorrow he tells him the wood, the prices had changed. They need another $200,000, he would send. Oh, police has impounded the goods. We need $200,000, he would send. Customs, and even the media. That the media had taken up that the manner in which they procured it wasn't supposed to be the case. So the media needs $400,000. Like, wow, the media must really be rich. In the end, it amounted to $6.5 million.
Wow.
And when this man finally, actually he got 2 lawyers from Ghana to represent him, because this fraudster was sending him documents. So he's not Ghanaian, he's not been to Ghana before. So how does he ascertain the authenticity of the documents? So he got 2 lawyers to represent him. And guess what, Rebecca? The man compromised those 2 lawyers. They were, oh, the documents are right. We even went with him to pay the monies. Everything is in order, not knowing they were compromised. So when he arrived in Ghana, the fraudster was arrested, and those 2 lawyers were also arrested. And I've asked the complainant to write to the General Legal Counsel. They really need to fish out these, miscreants. And when they went to the man's house, almost every luxury car you can think about, from Rolls Royce to Lamborghini to Bentleys, were in that house. So how do you look at the person and know that he or she is a fraudster? It is rather in the mannerism, in the representation of the facts. That is why I tell people, you need to exercise a great deal of circumspection before you pay money. So even if you see this cap online and you order it, when it is delivered to you, you even have to check to be sure that it is the cap you ordered before you make payment. We are always in a hurry, to make payment, and it's difficult to say. But there are some telltale signs we need to look out for. Inconsistency, today this, tomorrow that. It doesn't really, when things don't add up, don't overlook it. And another thing, they would make you feel you are almost grabbing the money. So at the point of grabbing it, then they go backwards just to get to spend more. And that's exactly what happened to another gentleman. I get a lot of those cases almost on a daily basis. He even attempted suicide. His life savings, over 40,000, because they called him and said, and Araba, I'm sure you might have even heard about that type of criminality. They would call to tell you, oh, Araba, don't you remember me? Oh, we met, don't you? Then when you mention Kofi, oh yeah, it's me, Kofi. Oh, I work for this water company and we need chemicals. And the contract, I want to give it to you just like that. And so I'm going to give you the supplier. He's a white man. Call him. He would give you a good price. Ooh. Then the next minute, you pay for sample. Pay another for sample. And big people, directors, very well educated people fall for these tricks. Okay, so we need to be very careful. Anything that has to do with money. I was even telling a friend yesterday, I was like, these days, especially with the state of the economy, if someone comes to you to borrow money from you, one, you would only give it out if you don't need the money, or even if you lose it, it wouldn't affect you. Because in today's Ghana, if anyone takes your money, it's 50-50. You own it 50, he owns it 50. Okay, so we need to be very careful in matters that has to do with money.
We need to be very careful. I saw about nodding. One, out of shock. Two, I would not want to guess how will people fall for this. But when it comes to us as people in the media, how have we handled such cases?
He talked about how some of the fraudsters also resort to the media to convince, their victims, that what they're doing is legitimate. Oftentimes, and I always say this, it's very important for the media to cross-check whatever information that they're putting out, double-check, so that they are not enabling crime. And in such a case, if someone comes to you and says, well, do a story for me, and gives you information and you don't double check or you don't cross check, you just put the information out, they just use it to their benefit or to their advantage, and then end up engaging in crime. And so the media has a lot of work to do, but some of these stories come to us, and we also find it shocking. The first thing that comes to us, the first thing that comes to our mind is that, okay, the person at the other side, the victim, what was he thinking? Was it also, was his action also born out of greed? Because if someone is telling you something that is too good to be true, you need to think twice about it. You know, you need to think twice about it. But of course, there are other situations where the victims, you know, can't do anything about the situation, like how Adib is talking about, you know. So if you have a foreigner who is engaging with someone in Ghana, for example, on the sale of teak trees, you know, he doesn't know. He trusts the person on the ground, you know, to do the due diligence and expects his, you know, money. But then I also think that you don't entrust something fully to someone that you don't know and who really has no experience in that field. You know, you need to also be on the ground. So for these Ukrainians or foreigners who trust a lot of these Africans who engage in such fraud, I think that it's important for them to also come on the ground, you know, even without informing the people that they are dealing with, you know, spring a surprise on them so that they won't, at the end of the day, you know, have the surprise sprung on them. So it comes as a shock to us, the media, as well. But I think that the media has been instrumental in, you know, creating awareness about some of these incidences, especially Sakawa. We do a lot of stories about how people are engaged in Sakawa and the things that people need to look out for so that they won't be, you know, victimized in the end.
Let me add something to what she said. This Nigerian businessman actually even moves with a police bodyguard.
So that means that some of the state's institutions are compromised.
Yes. So if such a person comes to you, how on earth would you think that he might be a fraudster? Okay. And I must also say, sadly, as a media person myself, that the media to a very large extent is also a perpetrator. We still have these digital channels. I don't know whether they are satellite or digital channels, in which you have so-called money doublers putting up their phone numbers, send mobile money, and in return you would get double of it or even triple of it. And you know this is pure criminality, yet we allow it to fester. And it makes me wonder what the National Media Commission
I was
is
coming
doing,
to that you know, it's the regulator's job to ensure that some of these things don't happen. Exactly.
Because these days, once you have money, you are able to open a TV station. But there's the need for us to have some, you know, kind of regulation. And you spoke about some things that are too good to be true. Not too long ago, I think about 2 months ago, I tracked some vehicles for a client, and he does vehicle rental. So someone came for 4 vehicles at a time, not knowing he sold it off.
He had sold the vehicles.
Yes, sold. So what he does is, when he took the vehicles, he installed trackers on it, the criminal, and sells it to victims, then goes back for the vehicles.
Wow.
You
How
get
does
me?
this happen?
Good. So that is why it's very important. If you buy a vehicle, immediately without delay, try and install a GPS tracker. Because the criminals these days, that's what they do. They would sell the vehicle to you, then when you park it somewhere by the road, then they would come with a spare key and take it away. So what I do is, especially if you live in an environment which is not gated, the first night you take the vehicle home, try to get a neighbor to block you. So even if it is accessed, nobody can take it away. Okay? Then the following day, as fast as you can, get a tracker installed. So this person stole one of the vehicles is I think a 2017 Toyota Camry, and guess how much he sold it? 20,000 Ghana cedis. Yeah, I think to a very large extent that is greed. I mean, why would a 2017, 2018 Toyota Camry cost 20,000? So sometimes we need to ask ourselves these questions, and be very careful about some of these purchases, because once it is found in your possession, you can also be held to account.
But once you on daily basis, people come to you with such issues. What exactly is the motive behind these fraudsters who do what they do?
Money. And for example, earlier this week, I was approached by a big man, very big man, who met a lady online. And one thing led to another and another. They've not met before. Not knowing it's a fraudster. The person is not a lady. And so they got an uncompromising video of him. And that he's been paying monies since the beginning of the year. Today, 10,000. Tomorrow, 15,000. Then they would behave like, oh, it's all done. 2 months later, they would come again. Oh, we need money. If not, we'll publish it. Okay? And a lot of these guys are around, particularly somewhere around the Volta region area, some at the Pantine area, some around Kaswa. Okay, they are all around. That is why you need to be very careful, especially if you're a public figure. You know, you get all sorts of messages inbox. People would approach you. A lot of them are up to no good. And a journalist friend of mine also received a video call. When he answered, he saw pornography playing. He was looking at it in the office. He didn't understand. It played for about a minute, then he hung up. Within 2 minutes, a video was sent to him of his video. His face with the pornography on it. Okay, oh, journalist, you are watching pornography in the office. Pay money. Okay, so if I'm not expecting a video call from you, if you call me on video, I wouldn't answer. Okay, so we have all sorts of individuals. They've tried it on me severally with the picture of a very pretty lady, and I have a way of searching. You know, I even searched one of the pictures. It belonged to a Tanzanian socialite. Okay, so we need to be very careful about the people we interact with online. And some of them are even able to fish. They are able to enter our devices because we like to click everything we see. Click this to see Rihanna's sex tape. Click this for that. Click, you know, and there's this sort of, it looks like a video. Yes. On Facebook.
Yes, I've received.
And when you make a mistake, immediately and click it will spread in your name.
Okay. So I never click it.
No,
I never click it. I just delete it once I see it.
Yeah, it's a new phishing attack. Okay, so they hijack and spread, make it look like you are sharing without your knowledge. You cannot see it, but other people can see it.
Wow.
You know, so we should be very careful about what we click. And we need to double check. Anytime it comes, first of all, you need to look out for the link. So if it is GBC, I don't know, GBC online, fine. If it is My Joy, fine. But if it is GPC online, not GBC, GPC.
Yes.
Okay. Or, you know, there are so many ways. With your colors.
Yes.
People even use your colors.
They are deliberate about it.
So you need to be careful. And we have a certain hacking tool. We send you, job offer. And send you a credible link. But under it, there's a sublink. If you are not careful, you click on it, then they fish, they harvest your information. That could include your bank details. And no wonder, sometimes you have a chat with a friend about shoes.
Yes.
The next minute on social media, shoe adverts.
Yes.
You are pregnant. You've not informed anyone.
Yes.
The next minute, pregnancy adverts. You know,
how does
showing.
That happen?
Yes, because they have harvested your information. So when you chat with anyone, even your microphone on your phone, do you know even if your phone is off, information can be harvested around your environment?
I wasn't aware.
If the phone is off, it still harvests information.
How so?
So the links, you see, if it is off to you, the phone is off, but to the manufacturer, there are functioning components behind the scenes that you cannot have. I always tell people, maybe these phones, we only know about 20% of it. There's a lot more about it we don't even know. Okay, so when you click haphazardly links, they harvest your information. So if I have a chat with you or a call with you, they are able to get the keywords and target you with marketing. And for some, they can use it for criminal activities.
And we need to be extra careful.
Well, as for online, if you are online, Rebecca, to be honest, you are naked. You know, once you are online, you are naked.
How do we get ourselves covered up once we are online? Are there ways to cover up ourselves?
Just be safe online, because whatever you do, even for our smart TVs, I mean, there was talk about the ability to hack the smart TV and watch whatever you're doing. And there was even talk about the possibility of hackers hacking commercial airliners, terrorists hacking and crashing it. You know, but the Iranians were able to hack into an American drone and landed it safely.
Wow. I see. That's technology for you. So it can be used either way.
So we just need to practice safety, hygiene online.
I'll come to you so that you share with us some of these safety tips that we can go by, because as technology advances, we know these fraudsters also exploit it to do what they know how to do best. So once there's new media, you can say you can't go along with the times. You still need to be current, but how safe should you be? But I saw that you wanted to make an interjection. But before then, let's look at the media's role in even helping intelligence officers, the police, the security, in tracking down some of these perpetrators and even helping them to overcome these. Have we done well enough over the years?
I think to a large extent we've done our bit, but there's a lot more to do. I think Ghana was rated as one of the highest, with the highest level of cybercrime in one of the ratings. Maybe Adib can give us the better details. But coming down to the media, I mean, obviously our job or our mandate is to create awareness and also to educate. So that is what we ought to be doing in this context. I think that to a large extent, the media has been shining the light on, these fraud-related issues, especially Sakawa. From where I stand, I can say that, at least Joy News, we've been doing documentaries and reports about Sakawa and these fraud-related issues. And it's exposed a lot, actually. You realize that a lot of the people who are involved in these things are young people who are unemployed and who are influenced by others who they see as having, money, and they want to live that lifestyle. And so they want to, by any means necessary, become rich. So if it is going through this route, of defrauding people by hacking them, or using this, how do you call it, love romance romance scam, yes, they would do it, because at the end of the day they realize that it is an easy way of making money. And if they don't have money, of course, and they are desperate, this is what they will do. And so it's very difficult to sort of discourage young people who are seeing their peers living the lifestyle that they want to live, through these criminal means. It's not easy when you don't have easy access to, employment, or easy access to a way of making money legitimately. And so they see these peers, their friends, and they feel like, okay, why not? I mean, if he's doing this and he's living the life he's enjoying, why can't I do same? And so that's what we've seen from the various reports that we've done on this particular thing. But I think that the media ought to be shining the light more. I know that there is a cyber fraud unit at the Ghana Police Service. We interact with them on a regular basis, but it could be better. I think what we do is that the police also ought to take the initiative. They ought to be proactive, so that it's not when they're doing a cyber fraud week that they come to the media to shine a light on these issues. It should be regular. It should be regular. And so I think that a lot more needs to be done, but we're doing our bit in shining the light and creating awareness about cyber fraud.
All right. Adib, you share with us some of the safety tips we need to take note of. But Araba, you talk about how people are, we are urging people to, one way or the other, see a shortcut to making wealth and showing it to the face of that. Who is to blame for all of those? Is it that as media people or as people in our society, parents, we are not questioning the wealth of people? Are we even in the first place in that position to do? Because we know, oh, Araba has a lot of money. We can see her today, she changes this car, the next morning she has another, and children are watching, young people are watching, they do not have jobs, but how does she make it? Nobody knows where the money is coming from, and yet I want to be like her. So one way or another, I need to also get those. So I will need to take any means in the tools box to get to.
Well, I think social media plays a huge role.
Absolutely.
Social media, it's people. It's so influential. I mean, people look at people's lifestyle and they just want to be like them, and yet they don't know the means by which they got, the wherewithal to live that kind of lifestyle. And so, social media, I'm sure Adib can speak more about it, but parents can do as much as they can. But social media is a huge influencing tool for especially young people who look at others and want to emulate the lifestyle of others without necessarily thinking about what went into, building that sort of image that people have built, on social media.
So if, as a parent, let me take off the cap of a media person from you, and you put on the cap of a parent. Now, as a parent, if you're to advise young people watching you now, should they take everything they see on social media real?
Well, as a parent, you can advise your child not to be influenced by what they see on social media, but it's also your responsibility as a parent to show by example what you want your child to emulate. You see, I've seen parents who complain that their children are influenced by what's on social media. They see their friends or people their age, wearing certain attires, dresses, or shoes, or bags, or whatever it is, and they want to do the same thing. But I think it's also the relationship between you and your child, and how you raise them. But social media is hugely influential. Parents can't do it alone. I think you need to add prayer to it, honestly, because you can try and raise your child up in the way that you want to. You can be successful to a point, but if they're not strong enough, social media will influence them adversely.
Rebecca, which camera? I want to address the youth directly. So
you can leave it to any of the cameras, this one or that.
Okay, a lot. This is a message, from my heart to particularly young people in Ghana. A lot of your so-called celebrities don't have money. They don't have what they say they do. It's a mirage. It looks like it exists, but it doesn't. Don't be pressured. Just keep doing what you love doing, and everything will change. But if you want to be like, these celebrities who only get to, some of them act 2 movies in a year and are living flashy lifestyles, no, don't be deceived. It's not always what you think it is. And I also think to a large extent it's as a result of the breakdown in the moral fiber of society. Parents are proud that their teenagers go out there and bring home Benz C300 or a Toyota Camry. I think now they enjoy the Honda Accord. they enjoy the Honda Accord, the Range Rover, and they are unregistered. And in the night, they test their engines, the horsepower. Those unregistered Honda Accords, Civics, Range Rovers.
Why in the night?
All over. Because they've gone to hang out with friends, and they speed and flout traffic regulations left, right, center. Okay? And the parents are even proud. Oh, that's my last born. He owns that car. What work does he do? He just completed what we call JHS. And you are proud about it. Don't be asked questions. And that is why children as young as JHS want to make money fast. See what happened in Kaswa with the killing of the young boy. I remember at that time we were in school, money was the least on our minds. So even in university, you were concentrating on your studies because you have a task to accomplish.
Is it not the case, Adib, that sorry to cut you, but is it not the case that right now everything has been monetized, and so it's as if you don't have money, you are not, you don't belong.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's because of what you mentioned earlier on. social media. Social media is putting undue pressure on young people. I think one actress I respect so much, is it Ankuma?
Martha.
Ankuma. She spoke about it some time ago, and people were, because a lot of them, what work do they do? What work do they act a movie? How much do they pay you for a movie? But they get these bloggers to follow them, show, show them wake up from bed. You live in a big home, you drive a big car. Meanwhile, we know some of these cars, where they are coming from. There's this popular celebrity who is always in his or her house flaunting it. Meanwhile, I know that house doesn't belong to him or her.
Oh, I see.
Flaunting it and even mentioning the amount he or she bought it. The cars, stand in front of a car. Meanwhile, I know that number was faked. So we need to educate young people to understand that they don't have to fall to some of these, mirages.
Right. You wanted to share with us some of the safety tips. Please.
Absolutely.
Please go ahead.
Password protection is extremely key, and for a lot of Ghanaians, we love using the date of birth. So if you are 1st July, 1st February, is usually 1, 2, 1985, and add it. We need to avoid that. Okay, the use of your name as password, or your mother's name, or your father's name. We need to multi-character it as much as we can. I think there's something I wanted to show you. Just look at this SMS. It's coming from a source, DHY SMS. And read what it says.
Dear, we are hiring a part-time team. You can work part-time at home with a daily salary of 300 to 1,500 Ghanaian cedi. Area manager, then it adds
a link. Okay, so it's a temporal link, and if you click on it, they will fish you. They will target you very easily.
Wow.
So when you look at the link, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. Something like w.me, then some numbers. They are temporal link. I have that capability.
So when you click on the link, what happens?
It means you've been compromised. Look, they can have access to your audio in your mic of your phone. So even without your knowledge, they can be listening to you. They can have access to your camera. It wouldn't show on your phone, but you are being recorded. Your chats, your password, your caller, in fact, you've handed over your phone to them. That's what it means, and that is called phishing. Okay, so you need to look at the link. If it is my jobs in Ghana, something, at least it's better, but it's coming from wma.me. These are temporal passwords, okay? And if it's your birthday, they can also send you happy birthday, please click here for a surprise. So we need to be very careful about the kind of things we click, and before even sharing. So first of all, when you see information, particularly online, you ask yourself, does it sound right? How can a lion swallow a tiger? You get me? And all that. Then, is it from a credible source like we spoke about? I mean, is it from My Joy Online or My Hoy Online? With this, we need to take, critical attention, critical attention to some of these things. Then you need to also double check. It's extremely key. And don't always be in a hurry to break the news. Sometimes when we see some things without even confirming, we just share it just like that. I think it's dangerous. And let's exercise, like I said, over and over again, Rebecca, a great deal of circumspection whilst we are online. When anybody calls you and it involves money, always double check. Don't think this is a lifetime opportunity. Without talking to anyone, you send money. It's very dangerous. Okay, this mobile money fraud, people still fall for it, and they have so many different ways they do it. First, they would call you and tell you, we mistakenly sent money to your account. Okay, then now what they do is, my name is, and the voice is funny. My name is, I'm calling from MTN. Don't that kind of voice, even the English is. Then they will tell you, someone has reported your account Okay, so they want to correct it. So dial star 170, follow this, follow that. And they seem to even have information about their balances.
Wow.
Yes, they have
Your
information
Momo
about.
account.
Yes, they sometimes they do. Okay, then you end up paying money. I have a friend of mine, very responsible looking guy, and his last 1,200 he gave it away. He was like, Ati, the thing paid me, sir. You know. So education is key, and for me, for our organization, we are educating the public. We've started with about 30 organizations, and we intend educating 150 organizations for free. We even wrote to the police for a resource person. Nobody got back to us, so we are taking it upon ourselves.
So it appears that the police is also, part of the problem. They've established an anti-cyber unit or anti-cyber fraud unit, and they are not being proactive
At all.
You reach out to them, and you want to speak, and it takes a
Nobody.
long while before they even give you
even
some.
get back to
Yeah,
you.
sometimes you don't even get anyone to speak to. So if we are supposed to be partners in dealing with this kind of type of crime, how do we work together if one partner is not being proactive and not really helping?
Yeah,
It's
becomes-
difficult. Yeah.
It becomes really frustrating.
So it's time the police sets up
I
once
think
they
so.
have that unit.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think they have to be more proactive. What I said earlier was that, usually what they do is they wait for the week that we're celebrating anti-cyber crime, and then, they reach out to the media, or they're organizing programs. But it should be a regular thing. It should be a regular thing, so that, more awareness is created, more education is created, and then people know what to avoid in order to not to fall victim to such, entrapment.
So it should be a process and not an event. And now we have a cybersecurity authority led by Dr. Busaku.
Okay.
And they're also doing a lot. I went for the launch of the cybersecurity month, I think about 2 months ago at Lagos, University of Ghana. And they are also doing a lot, but I think the education is not enough. That is why it's critical for government to collaborate with civil societies. Those of us within that space and already on the ground speaking with the people, so we can get as many Ghanaians as possible educated. It's not about the money. I don't need one person from anyone. Just collaborate. Bring your resource skills to bear, so we can get Ghanaians educated and get them to know what to do in every situation.
But you see, with this kind of conversation, most of the time we look at the other party. But how about ourselves? Because I read from the newspapers and even online that a whole Ghana Armed Forces recorded 28 cyber fraud cases in a matter of 3 months, just this year.
Okay.
A security agency. Yes, so you can just imagine. So we as a people, do we contribute in a way to increasing these fraudulent activities? Or it's just about the other party, the one who is initiating the attack?
On one angle, I blame us. On the other angle, I don't. I don't blame us because we are ignorant. We are ignorant about some of these things, when they come around, sometimes it's good. You feel this is God changing your life. A market woman at Mokola, her life savings 8,000 cedis. She gave it out to them, because they said her account is compromised, so she should type this, she should type that, and she gave it out because she's ignorant. She doesn't know, she doesn't understand. Recently, and some of the attacks is so sophisticated. I got messages from my bank, the official what do we call it, threat.
Okay.
That they would call me to connect my Ghana card to my account, not knowing they compromised their systems.
Wow.
So they called me. In fact, even before I got to know they compromised their system, the way the guy spoke, and when they called, it was Truecaller, the name of the bank. But I had an additional security feature on my phone, and I realized they were calling from Swedru. Meanwhile, on the phone, it was the bank, and they even had headquarters. And now, when we spoke, we are going to connect, your Ghana card, we link it with bank account. So give us your bank account, your Ghana card number. Do you have your ATM? What's the number? With the back of the ATM, give us that. And they sound professional. And it came from my bank thread, not from a number.
That means that if anyone else who doesn't have that additional security feature
would fall for it. Oh, they
and it's through no
compromise the
fault
bank.
of theirs, because if you see that the bank is calling, how would you know that it's a scammer?
Yeah, and the bank later confirmed through an official source that their systems
Has been hacked.
Yes, trust me. You see, so some of it is quite complicated
So
for people to.
for that from that end, how do we fortify our cybersecurity systems within organizations? Because if a bank's system,
Even banks.
yes,
How much less? us.
and if there's somebody watching, you are a security person, so you know all the other details to put on your phone. For instance, I have this phone. I don't know what security app to put on it to know this is fraudulent, this is not fraudulent. If there are simple ones you can share with us, I think we'll all be grateful. Not just us in the studio, but even our viewers.
The thing we might not have the capability to access certain firewalls to protect ourselves. But what we need to do is just to be careful. Let's double check. Do you get some of these attacks? It's almost impossible for us to prevent it.
But let's
So
double check.
let's just double
Right,
check.
let me
Let's be
review it. Yeah.
careful. When it has to do with money or giving out private information. That is how I figure it out. And don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Sometimes when things are too good to be true, you would have to, think about it.
Right, I'll give about 2 seconds to a bit. Then I'll pick a few messages because my time is up, but let me pick few messages, then I'll give you the right. This one says, my name is Rashid. Thank you, Rebecca, and your team for this one. We all fall for it, just as your panel has said, but we need to be extra careful. Can you imagine someone called me using a number I knew so well, but unfortunately I also had to be steady because the person mentioned a name that I realized was fraud, but I was getting along the conversation till I realized no, it could be a fraud. So I ended up insulting the person, and the person insulted me back. Rashid. Okay, thank you so much, Rashid. Okay, I have this one. Let me pick this one from Amma in Aguna. Amma says, these fraudulent activities are too much. You can get a link that seems so true, but once you open it, it pops up to be untrue, and we all need to be extremely careful about it. Okay, Amma. Right, Adubia from Dewu says, thank you guys. Amid all the economic crisis, it is very important for us to be very vigilant because now money is hard to come by. And these fraudsters too, how do they handle their cases? Because I see the police is slow on handling their cases. That is why it is increasing every now and then. So the police needs to sit up. From what you're saying in the studio, even if the Ghana Armed Forces had an attack, how much more we individuals? So please, police, we need you to sit up and do more about this. Unfortunately, this is where I can end your messages. I can see more messages coming in, but Araba, please, you have the final say.
Final say. Interesting. I think that Adib has said it all, but no one is immune from these attacks. You mentioned the Ghana Army, a whole institution. Falling victim to these cyber attacks. So no one is immune. So as Sadib said, when something is too good to be true, when something is being presented to you and it's too good to be true, think twice about it and be vigilant. Be vigilant because, there may be situations where you can't do anything about it, like this market woman that Adib talked about. She's not very educated, so she's not sophisticated, and they're using sophisticated tools to defraud her. She wouldn't know. And such people, I feel sorry for them because there's nothing much they can do under the circumstances because they're ignorant. So the thing to do is to be very vigilant. If you don't know something, if you're not sure about something, someone sends you something, show it to somebody else, you know, who can help you out. And I think that also our institutions, especially the police, ought to be up and running when it comes to cyber security fraud. They need to collaborate more with the media on a regular basis so that more people are aware of these attacks by, these fraudsters and can protect themselves.
So says Araba. And Adib Sani is a security analyst and also a CEO of Jatike Center for Human Security and Peace Building, and he is also a journalist. Yes, Adib, thank you so much for all the tips that you have
journalist. I pay my dues.
And Araba Kumsin is also an award-winning presenter and an editor at Joy News. Thank you so much, Ghana, for joining in the program, and let's all be vigilant. And the police, we need more collaboration, an effective one, of course, so that we can all fight this. My name is Rebecca Ewa. When you say a prayer, do say one for us too. We thank you so much for joining in the program. Let's see you again, God willing, next week.
There are strong women whose stories teach us perseverance, logic, decisiveness, and self-confidence. Being strong is not just about physical abilities, but also emotional, intellectual, and mental strength.